Hello, everybody. Thank you all for attending the webinar today. My name is Jeff Moody. I'm General Manager at Protractor, and this is the first of the Protractor.net webinar series. We're really happy that you all have been able to make it today, and I'll just go through a little bit about what we're trying to do, who's on the call from Protractor side of things, and then I'm going to pass it off to Doug Cresci to start the webinar and walk you through the things that we're going to look at today. So in addition to myself on the call, we have Doug Cresci and Alan Joffrey. They're both part of the Protractor training department, so most likely a lot of you have had some contact in the past with one or both of them. In addition, we also have on the call Angela Sheardown, one of our support staff, and Jim Ball, our sales manager. What we're really trying to do with these webinars is go through different aspects of the program in a pretty narrow focus for about 45 minutes. And we're really trying to bring certain tips and tricks and process to you guys that you may not have been aware of, you might have touched on in training before you went live, but then, you know, with all the kind of volume of learning that goes on in the first month or so, you got used to using the program a certain way and then stopped and didn't continue progressing forward or didn't become aware of some of the features or the new features that we put into the program. So really what we're trying to do is bring those features to light, demonstrate how the program was designed to be operated, and hopefully we can add some value to you guys in your operation. And we encourage you to attend each of these webinars and bring your staff if they're available, because even if you take one or two things away each week or every 2 weeks from the webinar, that can lead to significant impacts on your business and process efficiencies. So without further ado, I'll pass it along to Doug Cresci.
Thanks, Jeff. I just want to kind of reiterate what Jeff said. We all know that you guys run a busy business. You have a busy day, so we appreciate you taking your time away. The goal in this on my side is to make sure everybody has a chance to walk away with something. So we're going to give an opportunity at the end to ask questions, so please bring those forward and we'll try to get those addressed. And I'm going to do the best I can to give you guys some tips and traps and a few overviews on some of the existing and new features. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to try and work through this show here and do the best I can do with this. So some of this is a little bit new to me even. Our agenda for today is to follow through a couple of steps in the work order optimization. One is going to be the work in progress screen display options. We're also going to cover workflow stages, as you guys can see, managing promise times, what the colors on the work in progress screen mean, work order flags, which is a new feature. We're going to talk a little bit about how to set those up and how to use those. We're also going to talk about the work order inspections. This is an area that a lot of people don't take advantage of, and possibly it's a knowledge-based thing, so we're going to spend a little time with that. Another new feature in the software is the quick picks, and I'm going to walk you guys through how to set those up and use those. And the last one is another thing that I think we've got a lot of people that don't know about, the catalog lookup wizard, which is really a tremendous time saver and possibly one of the biggest improvements from the legacy software for anybody who is running on the legacy software. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to give everybody a handout at the end of this or in a follow-up email tomorrow. So there'll be a little Word document that you will all receive with some of these notes on it. So I encourage you to jot down some notes as we go through this, and we'll listen to your comments and opportunities to improve as we go, and hopefully they'll just get better as we move forward. The first area we want to talk about is the work in progress screen display options. I'm not necessarily going to read through these comments. A lot of these come out of the help system, but essentially by changing the work in progress options, you can control the display of the work in progress subfolders. you are allowed to configure these, making groups and displaying different information. So let's actually get out and take a look at it. But before I do that, I just want to draw your attention to the note at the bottom. Each of the work order or work in progress screen display options is computer specific, which means if you have 4 terminals running the software, the display options can be the same or different on each of those computers. So when you set those up, keep in mind that each computer can have its own. So I'm going to just do a flip over here, and I'd like to get to my software. Let's see if I can get back there. So here we're looking at a demonstration database. What I'm going to do is go ahead and open up my work orders. And as you can see, I've got a couple of jobs in progress here. To set your work in progress display options, you're going to use the little bitty arrow. So it's kind of hard to see, but the little bitty arrow right under the technician that identifies work in progress options, you can click on this. One of the new features in this is to be able to show large or small icons. Let me just give you a quick demo of that. If you look at my screen on the left-hand pane, if I activate that, for us old folks having a little trouble seeing, you can open that up and get a bigger display. So again, if you wanted that to be in place, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to focus in, although there's several areas to work with here, I'm going to focus in on the in progress. Each of these has its own display and grouping options. So let's just focus in on the in progress. If you'll notice on the background left pane, you're going to then see the in progress node with all the jobs underneath that. These options give you the ability to sort your jobs by any one of these options. I happen to like promise time because once the job is in the shop up and running, the next most important thing to me is when does it need to be finished, although you guys can set yours wherever you want. You can then group your jobs, and there's a couple of really nice options here. You don't have to group them if you want. It'll just all run them down job after job. You can group them by technician, and that's currently the way that I've got mine set up. Each folder represents a technician. Okay. You can group them by service advisor, and it would do the same thing, but the folders would identify the service advisor. You can then do a stacking group or a tiered group, which would first be by technician and then by service advisor, or service advisor and technician. So I encourage you to play around with this a little bit. Again, my current settings are by technician. The information that's displayed on each of the work orders is just a matter of checking the box. When was the ticket scheduled? If you wanted to have the scheduled time, you simply check the box. The document number is going to represent the work order number at this stage. The contact would be whoever the customer is. John Doe is what you're seeing. The service item would be the vehicle and or service item if it was something other than a passenger vehicle. And then any notes. You're going to see a note display right here under John Doe's work order, and my note says make sure to clean the windows and vacuum this vehicle. So any of this information can be displayed. I encourage you, if you wanted to work with this feature, just go through each one of them. Not all of them are exactly the same, but as you go through these nodes, you'll identify and be able to make your settings. So number one is your display options, and now you guys can see what I'm looking at under my in progress node is a sort by technician. On the actual work order, I'm seeing the date it was scheduled. I'm seeing the work order number, the customer, the vehicle, and then of course any notes below that. Okay, so this is one area to keep in mind because it will provide valuable details as you're going through your jobs and day to day. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And remember, these settings are computer specific, so each computer can have its own settings. All right, so that's number one. That's pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, our next topic for today is going to be work order stages. In the software, as we all know, jobs progress. Customer comes in, drops off the car, we do an inspection, we create an estimate, we either get in touch with the customer, we have trouble, we might have to wait on parts. There's a variety of scenarios, or what we're referring to as stages, as your jobs progress day to day. So let's go back to the software and let's talk a little bit about the stages that are available. First of all, how do we set the stages? They are hard-coded, so you guys don't have the ability to define your own stages. The only way I can get to the stages is by actually opening up a work order. And you'll notice from the Save Closed button, I always refer to this as a split button. And you'll notice if I focus on the lower part, it becomes a little darker, the top part, so whichever way I'm looking at. This would simply be a save and close on top, but the work stages are going to come from the lower part of the split button. So we're able to identify the status or stage of each job as it progresses from write-up all the way to completion. The stages that you're seeing here is the job is scheduled for today, the vehicle is on site, inspection is in progress, inspection complete, estimate complete, work authorized, work completed, or job on hold. You'll notice to the left, each of these have an icon, which will identify that stage. It may well take you a day or two to, register and remember some of these icons, but those will be identified by each of the jobs as long as a stage is identified. So let's do this. Let's just take this job here, and let's just say that the inspection is in progress. That's going to automatically close the work order up and take me back to my background screen. So you're seeing the job I just had open, and the little icon to the left then identifies the workflow stage. Each stage is going to have a different icon. Now, the way I learned these in the beginning is simply click on the job with the icon, and if you're wondering what that icon means, you can simply reference the summary pane on the right-hand side, which says, on this job, the check mark means the inspection is complete. As we showed on my job a minute ago, the inspection is in progress. So you will be able to see the actual wording behind the icon by looking at the right summary pane of each work order. Again, I can't tell you how important these were for me when I was running my shop, and hopefully you guys can take advantage of those instead of when the customer calls in trying to track down the service advisor and ask them what the status of the job is. We should be able to address most all customer questions right from the screen, as long as we're staying up with those workflow stages. So just a quick review. Remember, in order to change the stages, you must open up the work order and then simply select from the Save and Close the workflow stage. So hopefully you guys can take advantage of some of that. And I know your shops are a lot busier than what you're seeing on the screen right here today. So hopefully that'll be a little bit of a help for you. The next item that we want to spend a little bit of time on, let me click on the next screen. Oh, I forgot. We happen to get one of our excellent users to provide us with a picture of his work in progress screen. There's a few things on here that we're moving to next, which are going to be workflow flags, which here are identified by the little color codes. So remember, your workflow stage is going to be the far left icon, and you can see in here all the different icons that these jobs have, which easily identify the stage. Okay, so we just thought we'd bring to you a little picture of how this might be of help to you going forward.